We are at RC21 now, which means that we have unlocked our fourth and final device. So let's take a look at it. We've got the Form of a Conqueror. When assigning only one ally, decreases counter force by 25 turns, increases Shackle to max 6, and also increases crit chance plus crit damage to max. We've only got 15 turns to kill the boss now, however, we do have extra damage, starting out with max Shackle plus maxing out her crit chance and crit damage. This device though, I don't think is very good. It is possible to one-shot the boss of course, but this makes it kind of hard to one-shot. You need to be really low speed and very, very high attack in order to actually kill the boss now. Because 15 turns is not a lot to work with, and we might as well make sure that we have as much attack and as much damage as possible in those 15 turns. Also, just the number 15 specifically is a bit awkward with some of the timings, but gearing this, I think, is not very feasible for a lot of new players unless you go out of your way to do it. You'd have to go craft attack set, really, and if you are watching this later, after Frantic Flight is out of the shop, your best artifact, if you don't happen to just randomly roll a Dux Noctis, which isn't good anywhere else, so it's not buying even if it comes in the powder shop or something, it's going to be like Warhorn or something, which is a decent damage loss. This is part of the gear, however, this device here is going to be more than enough. Form of the Challenger, this is the duo device. When assigning 2 or less allies, decreases counter force by 10 and increases Shackle to max 6. Everything after this is some knight stuff, but Robin's not a knight, so we don't care about it. Basically, we lose only 10 turns instead of 25. We still get max Shackle, but we don't get the extra crit chance and crit damage. And this is just way easier to gear. You can just use your RC15 Robin here, and you'll one-shot it fine. And it does make it faster, a lot faster actually, because one of the things with this one is that because we are pretty much base speed, or not base speed, we need a little bit speed, but we're pretty close to base speed, and the boss is taking a lot more turns, the run times between these two are actually pretty much the same. It depends on your gear. Like, I got very lucky with a sword when I was crafting attack set just to test, and I have like a 40% attack sword now. So this is 10 seconds faster than this one for me, but on my main has much higher attack on the faster Robin compared to my slow Robin, so I would figure that on my main, this device is actually going to be better for me. So we'll go over both of these devices. I'll show both of the runs side by side with the third run actually, because I have it recorded, so I might as well. It'll show the builds, and we can compare their run times. Plus I'll show the potential gear that I would have on my main as well, just for a bit of reference. First things first though, this is the Robin that I've been using since RC15. Slightly upgraded from what I showed in the solo video. It's just 120 effectiveness, 209 attack minimum, or 209 speed minimum. Technically the speed requirement isn't really a thing anymore. No matter which device you're using, you do extra damage from the max Shackle stack, so you can get away with lower speed, but 209 is still really, really nice. It just gives you really nice timings on your skills, +1 with the boss moves. Rest of the stats into attack, and we can drop POV since we don't need the bulk anymore, so we're using Frantic Flight. And I'll just jump ahead to the end of the run, and we can see how much damage this build does. This is the same build that I'll be using with the duo device later as well. So we're coming up on the end of the run here. We've only got 2 turns left. There is one awkward thing that happens with this speed tuning though, which, because we only have 15 turns, on this turn here, we're gonna just barely cut the boss before it goes. And this might not be an issue if you're a little bit slower, because I am a bit faster than the minimum recommended speed of 209. We are 213. So maybe if you're slow, this doesn't happen. But anyways, we are not even close to one-shotting. It still has 4 bars left. If I press S2 here, it's a bit under 3. So yeah, this is not even close. So now we can take a look at the runs. I'll have 3 runs side by side. We can compare run times and see how it goes. There's going to be 1 run with the duo device. Using the Robin that I already showed, it's just the usual solo Robin since RC15. And I could have gone for better attack gear on this account, honestly. The sword, specifically, I think, needs a lot of work, but didn't bother fishing for it. And then there's 2 runs using the solo device. One of them is just using as much attack as possible, though it does have a kind of OP 40% attack sword. There's also going to be a second run, which is going to be using pretty much the bare minimum attack that you need to actually one-shot the boss. It actually uses up all 15 turns to kill the boss. So I'll show both of those, and we can take a look at the runtimes, but first, let's take a look at the stats and talk about the general requirements for the 2 different runs. This is the Robin that I'll be using for the solo device, with max crit chance, max crit damage, max shackle, but only 15 turns. You're going to need 120 effectiveness, of course, to ignore 15% and have no RNG on your debuffs. For your speed, you want between 126 and 148. 125 speed is too slow, the boss will just cut you on your first turn. And then 149 speed, this is mainly if your gear is bad, but 149 speed makes you cut the boss on its final turn, so it's not going to take a turn and you'll lose that on 3 burns worth of damage, which could decide whether or not you actually kill it. And then for your bulk, it doesn't matter at all, because with max crit damage, and max shackle, you do so much damage on your attacks, or it's not a lot, but you do enough damage to just full heal regardless, so you don't need any bulk. This is also why we can drop POV for a attack boosting artifact, like I mentioned. And then for your artifacts, we can talk about it. Frantic Flight is, I guess, the kind of free-to-play option, though it's not going to be available eventually. If you don't have Frantic Flight, then you're stuck with something like Warhorn or Super Duper Water Shooter if you need the effectiveness too. And then also, if you have Dux Noctis is actually really good here because we have max crit chance, so Robin can just stack it by herself. Even a plus 15 Dux Noctis is going to outperform Frantic Flight, so just use it if you have it. Also, with plus 15 Dux Noctis would be cheaper to enhance than a plus 30 Frantic Flight anyways. Now we can talk about how much attack you need. This is just the most possible attack I can get on this account, which is higher than my main actually. This is my alt account, of course. My main can't even get this much attack. This is more attack than my main, but my main has plus 30 Dux Noctis, so my main would still do more damage, I'm pretty sure. Anyways, here is the testing I did with Robin. 3 different attacks, and then the damage dealt. 4791 does not even kill the boss. This is after I do the final S2. So we're a little bit short. 4856 does kill the boss. So one S2 does about 3.5 bars. So it would be about here. So we did overkill the boss by a little bit because the amount of HP we could have had is here. This little gap, I'm not sure how much attack it is, honestly. We can say it's like maybe like 4830 or 4840 minimum, but we can just say 4850 to be safe. You want to be around 4850. And then this is the build I showed, the 5001 attack. And this lets us kill the boss 1 turn earlier because the boss is just going to move and instantly die to the burns. Won't even get to use the attack. These are just some different damage values. You want about 4850 attack. With a plus 30 Frantic Flight, of course. These were all tested using Frantic Flight. This is the Robin that I'll be using for the duo device version. I've already showed this off, but it's 120F, 209 speed, at least. Ideally, because it gives you really nice rotations if you're 209 speed. You could go lower since you don't care about actually like bulk or anything anymore, but 209 speed isn't that hard to hit, so I would just go for it. And then the rest of your stats into attack, because we don't care about bulk anymore. Even without the crit chance and crit damage, just the shackle stacks alone is enough for us to sustain up, because it's just the first couple of turns anyways. And then for your artifact, we don't need the bulk, so we don't need POV. I'm using Frantic Flight just for the attack. It's 24% attack after it stacks up. Alternatives, you could use Dux Noctis. It's not going to be as good without the crit chance. Like I have 50% crit here, so it'll proc every once in a while, but it's still free attack. It's going to be better than stuff like Warhorn or Super Duper Water Shooter, which are the other alternatives. I don't think it's really worth going for 100% crit chance. You're going to spend so much on getting 100% crit chance. You're going to lose more attack than you gain from using Dux Noctis, I think. Not sure if it changes if you're using Water Shooter or something. Like, it's going to be a much bigger difference if you're using Water Shooter versus Ducks compared to Frantic Flight versus Ducks. However, this run's not tight on time at all anyways, so I wouldn't bother thinking that hard about it. Just max out your attack like normal and then use whatever artifact you want. You're going to one-shot fine.
장난은 끝났어. 애송이다. 애들 장난이고. 좀 치네. 착하게 살지 그랬어. 내가 할 말은 없어. 한 번에 끝내주지. 장난은 끝났어. 애송이다. 아프잖아. 애들 장난이고. 아프잖아. 조용히 살고 싶었는데 말이야. 이제 쉬나 싶었는데. 장난은 끝났어. 애송이다. 애들 장난이군. 착하게 살지 그랬어. 내가 할 말은 없나? 아프잖아. 한 번에 끝내주지. 조용히 살고 싶었는데 말이야. 이제 쉬나 싶었는데. 장난은 끝났어. 애송이다. 좀 치네. 애들 장난이군. 조용히 살고 싶었는데 말이야.
That's the final runtime for the 3 runs. With the solo device, even with just the bare minimum, it was slightly faster than the gear I have on this account, though I did have to craft a little bit to even reach that minimum. 6 seconds faster, and then with the max attack I have, it's a 12-second save. So this 12 seconds, it's not a lot. I don't think it's worth crafting gear for this. Here are the 2 builds I would have on my main for both of these versions. The faster one on the right and the slower one on the left. This is a pretty big jump in attack from the one on my alt, at least for the faster one. This is like 550 attack or so. I did forget that I have a plus 30 Dux Noctis, so for the slower one, my damage, even though it's lower attack by a little over 100 than my alt, since I have a plus 30 Dux Noctis, that attack is going to jump a lot just from the 12% attack that Dux Noctis gives. Do lose a little bit of damage, pretty insignificant, from the crit damage that Frantic Flight gives, since artifacts do go past the cap, and I'm pretty sure that it would end up going past the cap with the device boosting us to max crit damage, but I'm not sure which one would be better on my main, actually, just because the plus 30 Dux Noctis thing might end up being the slower one, but I do kind of want this chest piece back, so we'll see what I end up doing. I'll have to test it. Anyways, that's it for the video. This is just letting you know what to do if you find yourself not being able to one-shot with the solo device at RC21. It's really just use the duo one and you barely lose any time, if at all. And hopefully this helped anybody who is somehow at RC21 already, anybody who's looking at it in the future, and I will see you guys next time.